up giving like advice and hopefully it helped or whatever. But you know what they were that I don't get out of people older than me? Receptive and respectful. They understood what I was saying. Somehow, our elders feel like, and not all, that if they ever listen to anything that we have to say, that it somehow gives them less credence. See, just because you're older doesn't mean you're smarter. And the reason for that is because the world is evolving. You're not going to know the newest technology. Of course, someone who is younger than you is going to know more. And the reason for that is because they can't remember a time without whatever it is. You are more comfortable in a time where whatever it is that was invented didn't exist. And so it's like it takes more energy to replace that routine than it does for a kid to learn it growing up, which is what y'all did to your parents. You knew things that they didn't know or didn't believe you. I really feel like a lot of times black people just our behaviors are so backwards. And for why? Do people disagree with me? Yes, a lot. And I'm willing to have a conversation with them. And I'm not saying that I'm going to be convinced right when they say it. If you believe in a higher power, then you need to understand that once you say whatever it is, the person has to then find their light bulb that confirms it. And what I mean by that, some things were already primed for just your words to be enough. And other things, you're the first person that's saying it. That's why I feel like we need to have more patience with one another. But it's hard to have patience for people that look at you like a threat. People call on stuff that they're not ready for. They can't see that they're not prepared. And the reason I say that is because you have a God complex and narcissism out of this world if you think that just because somebody say the same thing as you, that means that you invented it. You deserve credit. To think that your life is worth more than somebody else's, well, that's relative to who? Who is it worth more to? Because I'm tired of men feeling like just because they were born a man that they're automatically worthy of more things than me. No, you're not. That is something you have to work towards. And that's what I meant by rites of passage. And I actually, if I come back on YouTube, I'm probably going to do a video on why that's important. Let me guess. So since I said it in this video, if I catch it on your panel, I'm going to come in the chat and say, hey, that's mine. And you know why? Because apparently that's black behavior, right? Whatever. I say a lot of stuff just because I feel like people need to hear how it sounds sometimes. There's a whole lot of stuff I was doing, learning, and planning or wanting before I even got a YouTube channel. Sometimes I guess people just have to hear that. There's a lot of stuff that I see in our culture that I feel like has done nothing but help to divide us. One is lying. If we all lying, how we gonna get anything done? And I know the beefs will eventually quell. Yes, I know that. They're gonna dissipate. But what I am saying is, when are we ever gonna get to a point where we all know that as a given, and then the beef don't start in the beginning. Because if you know something is going to come to an end, why would you go down that course? And yes, there are exceptions, like the fun stuff or, appropriate things. Yeah, I get that. But I'm talking about like the negativity. Why start it? Is it for revenge? And possibly. But I really feel like a person who is seeking revenge feels like that damage is greater than it actually is. And I try to talk to people about the fact that things pass. It's not that big a deal. But I can't say that if the other person's still provoking them. Why do we feel like it's cool to provoke one another? Why would you want to drive somebody into that devolvement? Why would you want that? Because you have an opinion and you just woke up and needed to run somebody into a place that's lower than you so you could feel better instead of just elevating yourself. These are all things that we've all been told. No way do I think that I'm dropping something that's so profound, so amazingly novel, but what I do feel like is when we get grown, we either choose to ignore it or either we forget. So, I mean, all in all, my birthday started out productive, then it got annoying, and then at the end of the day, I found myself doing like the thing that makes me most me. I just noticed that in every aspect of my life, once there's somebody younger than me, I like transform. I just like go around being people's mom. Not necessarily trying to control them, but like always having a pacifier ready, I haven't figured out how to not do that. It just falls out of me. I don't know. Like, it did lift my spirits though. It gave me hope. I love these kids of this generation because they give me hope. Sometimes people do stuff and I don't understand how you can. How could you do that? Why would that even cross certain people's minds is what I think. And I feel like when y'all tell people, like sometimes I feel like mediating an argument is not a good idea because you don't know what you're telling that person that they have to accept. Yeah, I know the person who's, has the most power and influence or whatever. Yeah, I know they probably told you a story and it was obviously motivating for you to even go talk to the other person. But what if it's some underlying things to that, either with the person that told you or the person you getting ready to go try to ask to speak? What are you actually reinforcing and co-signing? Do you know? Sometimes it's best to stay out of stuff because you're like co-signing and reinforcing something that makes a person feel like a non-human. Nobody would be expected to tolerate that. You wouldn't. You would probably lash out at the people that are trying to help. But it's human. And I don't feel like people need to come around and say stuff like, see, I told you they was going to turn on you. They turn on everybody that helps them. Why? Like, let them work that out. Uh-oh, I saw somebody say that before on YouTube. Is somebody going to make another video talking about people are copying them? The point is that people got to work things out because they the only two people that know where it all began. And they may even differ on where it began, but when they talk that out calmly, they'll be able to learn about the difference between the two of them and decide once and for all if they want to be together or be separate. You know, it's possible to say, yeah, that person is good or whatever, but I just don't rock with them like that because of our, dynamic. That's perfectly fine. I do ask questions though. I ask if the two people feel like it could ever be mediated. I ask them if they know what reconciliation would even feel or look like. Would they know it when they see it? Are they willing to accept it? And the reason why the audience needs to know that is because we need to know whether we have to just accept and bring y'all in different circles or whether it's the right answer to try to bring y'all around each other so that y'all can make up. But we don't get to choose that. They do. I try my best to stay out of beefs, but sometimes I am brought into it, and I feel like that's not something that I should have to take the L on. Me getting grown and paying all my bills didn't mean I get to run around half cocked like a chicken with my head cut off. What it meant was that I get the decision. But as long as you can live with the consequences, you do what you feel like doing. See, my problem is when people want to do what they want to do and can't handle the consequences. Or when people want to show up and like force certain consequences. It saddens me to hear so many black people like give up. And then it irritates me because I know that if they outnumber us, that means we ain't gonna ever be happy because too many people gave up. Is it so wrong to say have some hope? Why are we the only culture that it's wrong for us to try to want something better than what we have right now? Other people have it worse. They get to have their opinion on if we spoil. Whatever, ignore it because they don't live here. They weren't born here. They don't get it. But if we get this right, I guarantee you they'll shut up and then they'll try to implement it. So I really feel like to be conscious, to be woke, it's a necessity. We don't have the luxury of just chilling. And you obviously feel some type of way because you see stuff on TV, you react to it for a couple of weeks, and then you start telling black people that are still reacting to it that they need to forget it, they need to let it go because it's party time, because something has been dropped in our neighborhood that makes us feel good, and now all of a sudden whatever cause or thing that we had that we were doing, well, that was just until we got something that we wanted, right? Because that's what it looked like. It's certain people that I'm just not going to engage with. And yeah, I'm about to be selfish. I'm not sorry. I got my reasons. So, this birthday still had a purpose. I needed space. I needed to be left alone. But I'm wrapping my brain around the fact that, like, there's always going to be somebody somewhere that needs your attention. One side of the knot, your day now revolves around that. Certain stuff is just a band-aid. Certain stuff is just like you ain't supposed to do, or either you are always supposed to do anyway. And I don't want us to be a loophole culture anymore. Well, at least that, yeah, at the very least, bare minimum, mediocre. That thought process comes out in a lot of the stuff that I hear, and I even catch myself doing it. But I'm vigilant and I work hard not to turn into that. And I want everybody to do that, but I can't control everybody. I'm not beefing with anybody on YouTube. That's not where this is coming from. This is coming from just like what it's like to walk outside your door every day being black. I wanted to create a channel that talked about how the things that happen in the world are different for us. We all watch the same news, right? But we have a different history in relation to whatever the topic is that's being discussed than other cultures. And they got their own different little nuances and stuff. See, that's why I put it in the title. It's very explanatory. So if anybody needs to know on what side do I stand, the side that's going to help the most amount of us get to peace. So now if you don't want that, then you don't have to listen to what I say. But if you have an idea on why what I'm saying won't be peaceful, or either a better idea, I'm all ears. Because as long as it achieves the end goal, I don't have to have the credit for it. But I do want to contribute something. So I don't know. I hope this doesn't sound like a depressing rant, because I'm not actually sad about this kind of stuff. It's just, and I know that I'm not like alone or anything. I know I'm not the only person that thinks this kind of stuff. It's just, apparently we missing something. Because why is it so easy for us to hurt one another? You know, what made me think about all of this anyway was a couple of days ago I saw this meme that was like, something about black people willing to shoot a nigga out, kill me a nigga, blah, 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 and then forgetting that you a nigga. I don't know. It was profound, right? But the point is, it was true. So if I'm listening to my elders that the good die young, like that's how we get over death, because, God calls home the ones he really, really wants to see. What if I still needed them? But in real life, I don't think that means that we supposed to just let the world burn, or even let the community burn. I feel like that's not what that means. I feel like that's forcing us to survive without that person, and then we clean this up. It's like your parent coming home and you ain't thawed out the chicken, or either your room messy and she told you to clean it up so you can go outside and play, and then you look up and it's 5 minutes before they normally come through the door, and what you gonna do? You gonna scramble? Well, you could have been resting and chilling. And I think that parents, when they walk in the door, if they see you resting and chilling and all your chores are done, they probably would be a lot nicer. Because I'm not saying that it's all the parents' fault. What I am saying is that you got to have a skill set for how you going to quell procrastination, disobedience, You got to have some type of skill or plan or something that you're going to do when parenting gets rough. And so far, I hear a lot of parents saying, I'm grown. Do as I say, not as I do. It's a lot of older people on social media calling my generation whiny, complaining. The point that I would like to bring up about all of that is that we still ain't able to build nothing if we got to always argue with y'all all of the time. When I'm talking to somebody in my age group and I'm telling them what I think was wrong with the past generation, that ain't your chance to jump in there. If you truly believe in what you did was the right answer, hold on a second. It's all right. We're going to get to it. But right now, I got to motivate this person my age so we can do something with whatever it is. Also, that we can make a different choice. Because we wouldn't be whining and complaining if what they set up was helpful. We got a lot of generations of trial and error. And the reason is because we are up against a group of people that don't want to change nothing. And it's not all. It's not. Let's deal in reality. It's not all. I feel like that's realistic. My point is, what if it's not whining? What if it's motivation? What if you being nosy and always jumping in something before it's time? You didn't even, like, we ain't kids. We grown. And are some of them acting like kids? Yeah. But we'll check them because they're getting in the way. Now, what you could do is not call the thinking people whiny. It didn't work. So if it didn't work, what y'all did, that means that there's a consequence that we are dealing with, right? Why do people not get that? Are people like trolling, or are they just purposely being like provocative? Either way, it's kind of productive. So, I mean, all in all, I rate this birthday a 7.5. That's actually not a bad thing. But I did what I set out to do, which was think. I use it for me determining if I still believe in what it is that I set out to do, whether I feel like I'm on the right track, whether, and I'm not going to act like I ain't have some years where it was turn up city. I thought about it the next day, so don't worry about it. But I don't know. I don't feel okay just letting all the beefs happen. But I do realize that I have to start being strong enough to not try to mediate. I used to. But me, since I got in my 30s, I have decided that I'm not going to do that for the reasons that I said. So I hope nobody takes it personal, because I do care about the community. It's just, part of me feel like if I intervene, I'm either calling somebody weak or either I'm preventing justice. Nobody said that to me. I'm just thinking about, like, what if I was wrong? So that's kind of where I'm at lately. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I guess I'll do a whole lot of talking to y'all at some other point. Bye.